San Jose, California, the heart of Silicon Valley and the epicenter for the dot-com boom. A modest city with modern dreams, the city of San Jose was an amalgam of many different cultures, classes, and creeds. And as the city began to grow, so did its need for expression and art. The youth of San Jose began to organize and come together, and a music scene was born. At the heart of that movement was a dingy little rock and roll bar called the Cactus Club. A humble hole in the wall, the Cactus Club rose up along with other bars, nightclubs, and music venues to help shape a new entertainment destination for downtown San Jose. Residing at 417 South First Street, the Cactus Club became the focal point of live music and local culture, with nothing more than a sound system, some stage lights, and a whole lot of guts. Other venues came and went, switched ownerships, or just out-and-out closed shop. But the Cactus Club survived 14 years and outlasted just about every other night spot in town. So how did a rundown rock club with busted-up bathrooms and a bad reputation face the challenges of an unproven market, a competitive music scene, and major city scrutiny? With a little bit of luck, a little bit of gusto, and a whole lot of rock. This is the story of how one rock club transformed a red light district into a thriving music mecca for the Silicon Valley and ended up going on to rock the block.
Cactus Club, 417 South First Street.
I used to call it the CBGBs of San Jose.
It had a feeling about it, you know what I mean? There was some shit going on in there that no place else had.
And that's what brought San Jose's downtown out of the gutter that it once was. I mean, it's weird to say that punk rock brought it out of the gutter. I mean, but that's what happened.
In the early 80s, the face of downtown San Jose, and in particular, the South First Street area, was one of disgrace.
Before the Cactus Club moved into town and that whole kind of South First area started to explode, it was defined by pretty much hookers and drug dealers.
Where are the people in Birmingham?
At that time, South First Street and most of downtown San Jose was basically a porno district.
There was nothing going on the street. It was boarded up. There was, I think, one strip club left, I shouldn't say strip club, the peep show theaters.
It was definitely run down and an area that had a lot of excitement, a lot of pimps, whores, drunks, mixed with, some of San Jose State.
There was a Sambo's on the corner of 2nd Street, which is now Bowtown, and that's where the hookers used to take their johns to make the deals.
It was just an area filled with prostitutes and empty storefronts and a few legacy businesses like an upholstery shop and a tuxedo shop, and certainly wasn't what it is today.
The skyline, even skyline, was totally different. You didn't have the high-rise buildings. San Jose was a shithole back then. And everywhere you'd see these signs that they had just kind of put up on the walls that said, San Jose is growing up. I remember that vividly, and all of us used to joke, San Jose is throwing up because it still looked like hell.
The 401 Club, which burned down, that was an old Victorian house on the corner. that was the real war zone. Susan Hammer, when she was a District 3 council representative before she became mayor, and she spearheaded an initiative to basically close out all the adult businesses, to kind of sunset them and push them to other parts of town. And that paved the way for the opening of the Cactus Club.
At that time, the city of San Jose wanted basically anybody to go open up a business down there that was not porno.
The redevelopment agency kind of came in and they were looking to open up things to kind of change the image of South First Street. So the Pink Cat and then the Pussycat were the two theaters opposing each other's, and those were already shut down.
The Cactus formerly was a gentleman's club. It was, you know, a strip bar, basically, and there was a lot of hooking going on in the whole fucking thing. So redevelopment in San Jose decided that once the original partners decided they want to do something there, they were like, okay, we're behind you 100%.
Redevelopment is engaged in a number of activities which are all about bringing about positive activity and change as it relates to a number of different areas. Primarily housing is a big area, improving neighborhoods is a big area, building a public infrastructure that will incentivize private development is also a major area. And for our redevelopment agency in particular, we place a lot of emphasis on our downtown and making that a vibrant, active, great place to be.
We were going to go over closer to where the Oasis was, and they said, no, if you go there, we're really not going to help you, and basically make your life miserable. You know, they don't come right out and say it, but, you know.
They were shoving everybody in the South First Street area. So basically from San Carlos to William or Reed Street on First is where, if you wanted to have a nightclub, that's the only place they would let you open. It was basically trying to create a nightclub district by by not allowing you to open anywhere else.
Before the Cactus Club came about, opportunities for up-and-coming local musicians were few and far between.
There's a grocery store on 11th and Williams that bands would play on the roof of it every Friday because there was nowhere else to play.
And then occasionally someone would rent out a space and you'd have like a punk rock band. Like, let's say sometimes they ran out San Jose Civic Auditorium or a McCabe Hall or, you know, some just random spot downtown. And usually half of those were bogus because then they just sell tickets, no band would ever show up, and then they call the cops on themselves. Cops show up, kick you all out because they didn't have a permit. So that was the music scene downtown.
The prominent venues of the area, such as the Cabaret, One Step Beyond, and the Keystone Palo Alto, were doing well, but weren't located close to downtown San Jose.
Before that, you know, the bands that I was with and the bands that I had worked with, you know, the only places we had to play was the Keystone Palo Alto, One Step Beyond, which was Santa Clara, and if anybody remembers Pumas in Campbell, which was, you know, a little hard rock club.
A lot of the bands went up to Sacramento and played. They would get a few gigs up in San Francisco once in a while.
So there was a scene where, you know, the local bands could get, you know, open up for, you know, the national acts that came to play at One Step Beyond. But there was not enough shows to keep everyone's interest, you know, for the local scene, for local bands, you know, the new bands. He wouldn't, you know, obviously any band, you know, venue would not give, you know, a brand new band that chance.
The clubs were also daunting because of the standards they practiced and rules they followed.
Most of the places back then, you had to sell tickets to play there.
All the bands now don't understand that years ago, you had to pay to play.
Pay to play basically was a system of telling a band that you had to sell 50 tickets at $5 a piece, and meaning you had to come up with $250, and if you didn't, you weren't playing that night.
I fucking hated that, but half the time, because most of the guys in the band were fucking broke, I ended up having to pay for the fucking tickets or whatever, just so we can do the show.
The Omni, the Stone, One Step, California Concerts, they all did that, and it was kind of messed up. Cactus, they didn't do that.
That was part of the philosophy behind the Cactus Club opening up was, you know, no more pay to play. And
though the venues of the area looked to take advantage of local music, one bar chose a different path.
The people that, you know, that started the Cactus Club, you know, Mike and Calvin and Sean, were all part of this music scene that was happening before the Cactus Club started up. And it was really, the Cactus Club was kind of this culmination of people and musicians and bands and clubs and scenes that had been really just bubbling and forming themselves over probably, I mean, maybe about 5 to 10 years before the Cactus Club even opened. And you know, the scene in San Jose, at least the scene that we were all a part of, started at the Laundry Works.
The Laundry Works, you know, was the watering hole, and I would say the first real place where, you know, the South Bay scene developed.
Well, the South Bay scene that we're talking about, or as we know it, as the Cactus Club grew out of, pretty much started with the Laundry Works. And the Laundry Works didn't last for very long as a live music venue. It was sort of, from my understanding, a neighborhood bar and restaurant that started booking live music at night.
They had a lot of bands, like the Heroic Airmen was Greg from Smashmouth's band back then, and Daddy in His Deep Sleep, the Kingpins that won the Star Search, the Frontier Fucking Wives were a band called Big Hair back then, and Gray Matter was Sean's band, and they had a little thing going on called the First Strike Collective.
First Strike was a kind of a union that we all put together. It was a club, a scene, where a whole bunch of us that were all aspiring musicians and we're all in bands back then. We all decided that, you know, there'd be a lot more strength and safety and power in numbers than there would be, you know, apart.
There were 13 bands in that collective, including one called Gray Matter, which had Sean Galvin, who became one of the owners of the Cactus Club, as its drummer, and Mike Trippett, his partner, was managing the band. So they sort of came out of that whole Laundry Works scene as well.
Foregoing the pay-to-play system, the Cactus Club was created by former Laundry Works scenesters Mike Trippett and Sean Galvin, with a handful of silent investors. Opening in December of 1988, the Cactus Club was established on First Street as an attempt to revitalize the downtown area. The Cactus Club had arrived, and the heart of local music in San Jose would change forever. Once established, the Cactus Club benefited local musicians in many ways.
Before we came into existence, it was almost like one person owned all the clubs because they were pretty much all on the same page. They all operated the same way. Now, after we opened, whether it was because of us or not, I'm sure we had a hand in it, you know, it kind of changed.
It gave everybody an outlet. It gave every band, every local band, every music fan, live, you know, a place to see, hear original bands.
Because it was so heavily local band oriented, you could always get a gig there, and you could always play with other bands, and there'd usually be enough people where there'd always be a decent show.
There is no fucking rules tonight. I want this place to fucking go nuts.
Every show you go and the crowd be bigger and bigger. Pretty soon the line's down the door around the corner. And you're like, okay, something's gonna happen to the band, you know, and the other bands get hungry and like, that's what I want to do, you know? And that was almost like the aim for the next level.
It was one of the few places that did have a stage and had a PA and had a sound guy with a monitor system, and it wasn't plain Shakey's Pizza.
Once we started playing there and playing there a lot, we got really used to having monitors and having a sound man and it sounding good. And so then when we started playing like Sacramento or playing in LA or Santa Barbara or whatever, we weren't really, oh, they don't have monitors. We don't, you know, we kind of got spoiled because it was like a really nice club.
For our band, it was amazing. Good sized stage, great sounding PA, you know, a ton of lighting in the air. You know, there was more lighting in that club than, you know, any other club in the Bay Area, you know, compared to the Stone or the the Omni at the time period. I mean, the Cactus had more. You know, it was, you know, for a room that was, you know, 1/3 the size or 1/4 the size of any of these places. You know, you could see the band on stage from every point in that venue, unless you're in the bathroom.
It made everybody familiar with all the different bands that were happening, whereas we probably wouldn't have ever known of bands like Statue Man and GTS, and you know, it's like unless you went to, you know, San Francisco or like, you know, just someplace else. It just seemed like you could go in there and just see like 4 bands or 5 bands a night that you'd never heard of before in your entire life.
Kind of brought a unity, whether that band wasn't like your thing or not, you know, or it was your thing. That's where everybody went, you know. It was like a band could play and it might not be what you're into, but you knew the place was going to be packed. It brought all scenes together. It was like, okay, there ain't fucking shit to do. I'm gonna go to the Cactus Club and see what's going on.
You help create a scene, help create a central hub for people to gather. Bands could set up goals.
Bands can network when they're hanging out.
Network, promote.
And then, you know, you start
And
playing
in
the
the fashion.
Cactus Club and you start building up a following and stuff. I mean,
And you meet all these guys who had been in the scene before us that we really didn't know.
You know, there are things like that, you know, whereas, you know, if the club wasn't there, those 2 guys wouldn't have ever met, 2 girls or whatever, you know, wouldn't have ever met each other and wouldn't have ever started a musical relationship. You know, it was definitely like a place to meet like that, you know, and have the internet.
Well, I mean, it was the place to play, and you aspired to play there, and bands coming there for the first time were like, we're playing the Cactus Club. It was, you know, it might be a Tuesday night, and they might be playing in front of nobody, but they were stoked because it was the Cactus Club. I mean, the Cactus Club had really reached folklore.
the place is
Uncle
crucial.
Stuffy.
I mean, if for a band, you had to play the Cactus Club if you're from San Jose or South Bay, anywhere, you know.
The club's success paved the way for the growth of many different music-related businesses, as well as the immediate South First area.
After, you know, the Cactus opened up, and a year later that FX opened up, you know, the big dance club across the street, who were also doing shows, you know, with Big National X once in a great full moon. You know, that whole street built up, you know, to the little boutiques and the coffee shops and the billiards place, and, you know, it created a whole nightlife down there.
There was this huge redevelopment push in downtown San Jose, and it wasn't just that they wanted viable businesses on South First Street that weren't porn. You know, they were building a light rail, and they were trying to get people to come downtown for various reasons.
Well, in the beginning, the only reason you'd go downtown in the early 90s and mid-90s was because of the Cactus Club. There was no other reason to go downtown.
It definitely drew people downtown. I mean, it drew us downtown and everyone I knew from the suburbs.
And those people that it drew downtown, I think, liked downtown and started moving downtown, and there started becoming more things to do downtown as a result. I mean, every little thing to bring people downtown contributed to it.
The city was like dumbfounded that people were coming down to downtown San Jose for shows. It was unheard of on a nightly basis.
They not just were innovators and started early before anybody else. They made it so people like us and other places that followed could survive on that street. So for when it comes to like Ajax, they were a huge reason we were even there.
And it was just packed with kids, you know, and it was before anyone, you know, any of the city people realized what was going on there and came down to wreck everything, so.
The success of the Cactus was definitely the catalyst for FX, which became the catalyst for Ajax, became the catalyst for Agenda, and all the other ones.
Then you get like everybody wanting to get involved and being in the cool thing. So all the garage bands, well, the garage bands need equipment. So Starving Musician was born. So Guitar Showcase is starting to fucking bump, you know what I mean? So now everybody's making money off of the fact that there's this scene that's thriving in an area that was nothing before but hookers and fucking porno shops. So the Cactus basically created a whole entertainment district for the city of San Jose. And the Bay Area at large.
The club also helped the area by creating a destination point in San Jose for national touring bands on a regular basis.
National touring bands would come through here. I mean, they wouldn't just stop at Santa Cruz or Sacramento and San Francisco and Oakland, but they would come here too, and that's why it was cool.
These guys were also booking bands from all different kinds of, all different genres of music.
It was made by musicians for musicians. It was the way we always looked at it.
First of all, the club wasn't huge, but it was big enough that you felt like you were seeing a pretty big show. But the club had no backstage. So if you were there to see a huge national act, or a national act that you might have been a big fan of, guaranteed you were going to be drinking beers with those guys.
Big bands would come through there, and you could be this close. You could be personal with them. You could see them, and if you yelled out a song title, they would look at you.
It was really eclectic. I mean, like, one day you have Guar, next day you have Alanis Morissette, then you have like Pato Banton, whatever his name is, the reggae guy.
What you like, we're gonna give you what you like. What you like, we're gonna give you what you like. What you like, we're gonna give you what you like. We're gonna give you what you like. What you like, we're gonna give you what you like. We're gonna give you what you like. We're gonna give you some of that bebop, hip hop that's what you like. I'm down for unity and conscious lyrics on the mic. On the mic is how I reach you. The lyrics I'll express. My need to rock a parties rock when I inject dialect. The perspectives.
So many, dude. Korn, Incubus, fucking Deftones when they came back after they started blowing up.
Alice in Chains played there before they were huge, or Papa Roach before they made it big, or Korn before they broke out huge.
Well, the Cactus was like the national act, like in their baby phase, where like nobody knows them, like No Doubt, Nirvana, so many bands rolled through there. I've seen Fishbone there, Suicidal Tendencies, just so many good concerts came in through that place.
I remember we did a show, and the program director of KSJO was at the club, and I said, this is one band that, maybe you guys should start playing, and it was Nirvana.
Here's a finger. I give you bouncers a finger. And leave that guy alone, man.
It's the cool way to do the finger, like this, not like this.
Here's the finger.
We had a lot of bands that came through there as nobodies, that went on to be world famous, multi-platinum stars.
Because the Cactus Club was absolutely known for that. Dubbed the Practice Club. Because every fucking body played there. They played there coming up, they played there coming down.
It was just a hodgepodge of music. It was like whoever Mike liked or thought was the next band coming up and stuff, and he was pretty good at it. But in the early days, there was good music.
When that scene was raging, you had people from San Francisco coming down here to see his shows. Now that would never happen, ever. But that scene, it was happening, and that's what was cool about it.
Although the club was becoming known as a beacon for live music in the downtown area, it was also becoming a hotspot for the town's local scenesters.
Cactus Club was a shithole, and it didn't pretend to be anything else.
There was not one part of that place that wasn't freaking disgusting.
You walk in the guy's bathroom, there's every bodily fluid imaginable in the toilet and on the floor.
The bathrooms at the Cactus Club were legendary.
It was Spinal Tap-esque, stereotypical, bad rock and roll nightclub bathroom.
Nothing could prepare you for that first walk through the bathroom door each night you walked in there. I mean, the smell assaulted you. It was concussive.
The urinal was halfway ripped out of the wall. I mean, when it actually did work, you know. And then the girls' bathroom, there'd be some heroin stripper chick getting naked while the employees took pictures.
The plumbing just never worked right, and so if you did not get into the bathroom in the first hour, you didn't want to go in there.
I'm gonna miss those fucked up stinky toilets in that room, man. I smoked so many cigarettes in that place to try and help it out. It never helped. All right, that's what you. I had to go to the bathroom across the street.
And honestly, I think if they'd made the Cactus Club any nicer than it was, I don't think any of us would have gone.
And people say that, okay, well, it was a rundown, disgusting shithole. Okay, yeah, but it was our rundown, disgusting shithole.
And it was amazing that you get the amount of people there that would come, and then the types of people that would come. I mean, you get like chicks there that you think, what the fuck are you doing here? This is a freaking, you know, hole-in-the-wall cesspool.
The beautiful thing about the clientele at the Cactus Club is that it was just this kind of mishmash and hodgepodge of people.
Just about on any night, no matter what night it was, you would see just a whole bunch of different kinds of people all hanging out.
I like flavor, dude, you know, and I think when you have a mixture of people like that, it makes something taste good.
There was room basically at the Cactus Club for everybody. The beauty of the Cactus Club was there's no dress code. It didn't make no fucking difference what you looked like, how you dressed, what your orientation was. Didn't fucking matter, dude.
Cactus went through all these phases where it was more like it was like, you know, mostly punk and metal for a few years, and then it was like a glam rock, you know, metal club for a couple years, and it was everything. It wasn't just one kind of music.
You had the gutter punks, you had the regular punks, and you had any kind of alternative person in the valley. You'd have the dirge people.
Dude, you can't
have
forget
that
goth
one night. Yeah, goth Thursday night.
We were the mods though. The dirty
we were
mods.
the mods. Representing.
And it didn't matter who was playing or what was going on. They were there, just enjoying it, soaking it in. You know, that's what a lot of people did at that time period. It wasn't so cliche, you know, to, you know, oh, this kind of band's playing, so I'm not going to go. Well, they were open to everything. They came down, hung out, had fun, drank beer.
I mean, it wasn't just a bunch of kids. I mean, you had people that were 50 years old who just listened to alternative music. They would come down there and see stuff. It wasn't just a bunch of grungy, you know, kids. It wasn't a bunch of punks or a bunch of troublemakers at all.
There'd be all kinds of madness going on at the same time, but everybody fucking melted there, dude. It was cool like that. Everybody was represented, racially, fucking music generally. It didn't matter. Everybody could kick it.
It wasn't like you go to a club in LA, and most clubs in LA, they're, you know, you've got your heavy metal, your hair band club. You've got your, you know, your kind of dance club, you know, where, and there will be definitely just these niches and specific kinds of people, and they don't usually cross-pollinate or mix much, but you go to the Cactus Club and you look around and you could see just about any kind of person from every walk of life.
Cactus Club was a haven for all fucking misfits. All crusty fuckers from all forms of life.
It was all one big scene. It was all one big family. It was our little scene. Although people from all over the Bay Area would come down to see shows here. It was a great scene.
Although it's mainly known for its music, the Cactus Club might best be remembered for the diversity of its regulars and its cross-mixing of subcultures.
I wanted to have a bar where a guy in a business suit could drink next to a guy in a mohawk and everybody be comfortable. I think that was pretty much the case.
At the height of its popularity, the Cactus Club was featuring live music 4 to 5 times a week, with thousands of fans populating South First Street. The area had witnessed the growth of a thriving local music community, and the once red light district of San Jose had become a successful entertainment destination. The South First Street area had become so successful that it was now known as the Sofa District. This accomplishment was celebrated with the Sofa Street Fair on September 27, 1992. Created by Gary Walker and Phil Maresca, the Sofa Street Fair was an accumulation of the area's local artists, performers, and musicians for an alternative celebration of San Jose culture.
We knew that there needed to be an event that kind of drew attention to the neighborhood and what was happening, and so the first couple of years of the Sofa Street Fair just brought all kinds of press and all kinds of people, and we had great bands, and it was just, you know, the only alternative festival in the area.
And to celebrate its eclectic character, thousands have come here for the Sofa Celebration. No, it's not a furniture clearance sale, it's the 4th annual South First Street Area Festival.
The art galleries, the nightclubs, the restaurants, the coffee shops, it's all being portrayed here today.
So people could come down in one day and see bands, DJs, performance artists, tattoos, you know, I mean, they could see all this stuff in one place.
One of the biggest draws to the festival is the bands. For example, the sound of this group, Audio Fungus, is spreading everywhere.
The next year, before the event, the Mercury News did a whole feature story on the neighborhood and what was happening and what the new businesses were and how it was evolving. And it was really, really good for the Sofa District.
The Sofa Street Fair proved that life on South First Street could be prosperous and proud, and that San Jose was destined to become the downtown it always wanted to be. The area had been proven as a vital point for local activity, but was it the kind of activity the city had wanted?
You know, I think the relationship that the Cactus had with the city of San Jose, it must have been a love-hate relationship.
It grew so fast and that the politicians don't know what to do with the place. I mean, they aren't stupid, they just don't know.
The city leaders in this town really don't understand popular culture. They have this kind of notion of, you know, that this is going to cater either to suburban families or, you know, the wealthy elite of the valley. That's what they keep trying to point towards.
Well, our primary goal for the downtown is for the downtown to be a memorable urban experience and a place where people can live, work, shop, and play.
When redevelopment comes down from above, like Washington, D.C., with a lot of grand ideas, but no neighborhood, no community support, and really no financing, it always is a fiasco. And it was a fiasco in San Jose for many, many years.
You know, I don't think the city ever really wanted the nightclubs to stay here. You know, I think they wanted them to come in and drive out porn. And then once that happened, they worked really hard to get the nightclubs to turn into something else.
But then after a while, oh, well, now we want to change this. We want to make it a wine and cheese district. We want all the yuppie.com money. Fuck you, fuck your artists, fuck your scene. We want the yuppie money. So we got to figure out a way to squeeze you bastards the fuck out.
The city and the redevelopment agency got to the point where they would rather see the downtown turn into a homogeneous yuppie Disneyland than have any kind of rock and roll stuff for kids around at all. You know? So that's what they want. They're still trying to do that, and they're still failing at doing that.
The city wanted people to come downtown, and it welcomed Cactus with open arms if it meant getting rid of the Bachelor Club. But then, you know, when Cactus didn't draw, you know, 40-somethings who were going to drop, you know, $150 on dinner at Olympia, and then, you know, hang out and sip martinis, and, you know.
Yeah, why isn't Kenny G playing the Cactus Club?
Yeah.
You know,
So-
it's a live music venue, right? Why isn't Kenny G playing?
Yeah.
Why isn't Boss Skaggs playing?
Yeah.
They hated us, wanted us out, but Cactus is the reason why San Jose became San Jose. You know, it had a nightlife. Cactus started pulling in bands and it started bringing people downtown. Other things were opening up. Other things were closing down that should close down. In their eyes, they made a deal with the devil. They sold their soul to, you know, bring in what they needed to bring in, but then they wanted to get rid of it. It was sort of like the ugly stepchild or something like that.
The Cactus Club drew the most attention from the city because of a major distinction from the other clubs on the block, an 18 and over permit.
The issue of providing venues for underage patrons it's always going to be controversial, and it's something that I think our city, as well as many other cities, struggle with.
What did you think we were going to play last and we weren't going to be wasted?
I don't think they ever fully realized that it was going to be a, you know, live music club, because it operated for all these years under a restaurant permit, I believe.
Well, I can tell you that it wasn't really 18 and over, it was all ages. All ages, right. Because it was an all ages thing, a liquor license that we had, because we served alcohol, but we served food. Food.
Oh, honey, let's go out and have dinner at the Cactus Club tonight.
Curly fries and fucking goddamn burgers and a slice of pizza. So we got in trouble for that because it wasn't really a full functioning kitchen.
They were supposed to operate the place as a restaurant and a club, okay? Meaning they had to sell food also, not just have it be a nightclub. Now, when the city first gave them that license in '88, they didn't care. Okay, they didn't care at all.
They had been telling us for years and years, give up your all ages permit and become a 21 and over nightclub, and we'll get off your back.
They kind of got grandfathered in with this liquor license. And then once the liquor license was given out, you know, they can't just take it back. And they were like pissed off that they actually gave it out.
On one hand, you want to provide safe places for people to go. On the other hand, you don't want to mix crowds and alcohol and potential problems or issues. So, I mean, that's really the crux of the issue.
I think the 18 and over was always a problem. It was then and it is now. You know, you're just putting kind of fire and water together. You're putting a situation in place where you're going to have underage people drinking, you know?
I tried to underage drink as much as I could when I was there, when I was underage, and they'd bust me every time.
The underage drinking was always, it was just going to happen. And you just had to be sneaky and tricky and get around it and find a way to curb it.
It's not easy running an all-ages club. There's a lot of problems, you know, because people are going to pass beer to the minors, and people are going to, you know, that's understandable. But, you know, every other major city in the country has some kind of place where there's an all-ages club, and when here they just won't let it happen.
I think it's probably safe to say that having underage venues is not something that we've identified as a priority per se.
They never, ever gave an 18 and over liquor license ever again. So that was like the reaction. And then they always wanted the Cactus out of there. It was like a pain in their ass.
I mean, they had no idea that a huge live music scene would erupt. And then now that they don't want Cactus in there, they use that as leverage to try to, they sick the police and ABC on them, saying, okay, well, you aren't operating as a restaurant, and you must do that too.
They had an audience, and they didn't know how to deal with it, the city. You know, they had, you know, young kids who wanted to come downtown, who wanted to make this a scene, and they just couldn't handle what that meant.
They didn't want the kids there. They didn't want the punk scene and the low lifes and what they consider low lifes, you know? They didn't want any of that grunge down there. They wanted it nice, arty, jazz lounges, coffee bars.
They didn't like the fact that it brought in this kind of this faction and this group of people that, you know, that they didn't necessarily want hanging out on the streets of San Jose and scaring people.
I don't think the city really wanted the kids to come downtown because they don't spend enough money. They can't buy alcohol. You know, they basically save up the money just to get admission and maybe a t-shirt if they're lucky. You know, they're not going to spend $20 at the bar, so they're not viewed as an audience, an audience worth bringing downtown.
So much of a scene, you know, revolves around youth, you know, and youth bringing in new stuff, and, you know, us older fuckers are like, fucking kids, whatever, cry about the music, but that's what keeps the scene alive, you know, is kids. Kids are what buy records, kids are what pay to go to shows, you know, minus like all the drunk guy shit, you know, that goes on there.
I think there were people in the city who felt that if, you know, if we could get rid of this last 18 and over license, then we'll have only 21 and over people downtown, and they're more grown up and they're more well behaved, and we're not going to have any problems.
In my mind, is really short-sighted because 18-year-olds turn 21 and pretty quickly. So if they had already established this pattern of coming downtown, they would continue to do so as they got older and could buy more and had more disposable income. So to me, that's just that whole idea is just completely asinine.
With the club's continued success and its youthful fan base increasing daily, the Cactus found itself under heavy city scrutiny.
And after a while, the city was at the point where, they were doing their best to find something wrong.
Once the city got a hard-on for you and they want to get rid of you, they'll pull all kind of tactics to get you the fuck out. They'll pull surprise health inspections and bust you on shit that with a day-to-day operation, it's just gonna happen.
Seems to me there seems to be a disease within the community, an immunity to dealing and filming for your brother.
The way the city works when it doesn't want something is a little different. They start building paperwork against you, and they start citing you for things, and they start making things very expensive and very hard, and they start taking away ability to sell liquor, ability to do this, ability to do that. They start checking you for occupancy. One thing you learn in small business is there are so many rules and regulations that everybody at every moment of the day is in violation of some tiny little ordinance or code about your ice machine, about your staffing, about the sound of the loudness of the music, about where people are smoking. There's just so many things that there are rules that when they decide to enforce them, when you stand out to them, when they want to make things difficult, it's nothing but a downhill slide from there.
I remember him pulling the alcohol license a couple times,
Yeah.
right? And
they busted us on Thanksgiving because Miller had to do happy hours, so I had to go down there and open, and we went down there and we opened the pizza window, and the cops showed up and asked for a piece of pizza, and we said, yeah, okay, that'll be a couple minutes. And he walked out, and then cops came in and busted us for not serving him.
We had the pool tables for a while, and then the city said pool tables are a immoral agent, or I don't remember exactly how they put it, but they said it was a bad influence, basically. Even though every other club on the street had pool tables, because we were the only one that had all ages and 18 and over, that was a bad influence on the children, and we had to get rid of the pool tables. Another one of the ways they fucked with us.
And the way this city does is they tend to keep adding layers of administrative stuff and adding more permits and adding things you have to sign, and now you have to get your picture taken, and all your managers get their picture taken, and they get all fingerprinted. So they would add layers to make your life more difficult.
What they basically said was you have to change your menu to include full meals. You have to change your atmosphere to be a restaurant-like atmosphere. You have to redecorate. I mean, they wanted us to spend so much money that obviously there's no way you could do it and make any kind of economic sense whatsoever.
At the end, the city just hated them. They wanted them gone. They had ABC going in there every other freaking month, it seemed like, and the city hated them. And once they basically saw that there would be people coming downtown, then they just didn't want the rock and roll stuff around.
They gave us so many conditions that they knew there's no way you could meet these conditions, I mean, they didn't try and work with us and mitigate it or anything. They just made it as strict as they possibly could, knowing that would put us out of business.
I think if you ask the city, they'll say no. I mean, it was just purely business reasons. But I think in the back of their mind, yeah, they just wanted to push him out to get something more in line with the ultra lounges that are going on up around the block. It just seems more a synchronistic type of flow, where you have ultra lounge here, a nice restaurant, a hookah lounge, a sports bar, a place to play pool.
Landlords came in and property owners came in and decided that they could make a lot more money quickly by opening up testosterone meat bars instead. Okay, and which is true that they can make there's a lot more money than that than there is in rock and roll.
With increasing pressure from the city and an evolving local landscape, the Cactus would find its biggest challenge in a downtown rival.
Well, I think Jacek buying their building definitely was like a black cloud over the top of Cactus Club. I mean, you know, whatever he needs to do to make money, whatever he needs to do to succeed, nothing is really, if he can help it, nothing will stand in his way.
Jacek Rosecki, a Polish immigrant following his own American dream, rose from dishwasher to mortgage broker to find himself in the thick of the Bay Area music scene with the purchase of the venue formerly known as the Keystone Palo Alto. Rechristening the location as The Edge, Rosecki became a major player in local music and soon set his sights on San Jose.
Jacek was like the Cactus Club's nemesis. I mean, they always wanted to, you know, Jacek always used to talk about wanting to buy us out and stuff. And I think Jacek was really jealous of the success we had and what we were able to build with no money.
That was the big pain in the Cactus's ass was Jacek. He would either you know, you can't prove anything, but you'd have phone calls from Vice. Vice would come and check up on us, or there was a neighborhood call saying it was too loud.
He wanted to come down there. He saw everyone was making money, so he wanted to get in there and thought, let's change it around. You know, basically take everything.
His agenda was to take the whole corner.
Rosecki eventually purchased the building that once housed the legendary local music spot Marsugi's, and his foray into the sofa scene was solidified with the opening of his newest nightclub, The Agenda, in 1994.
Jacek, I mean, he was envious of what we were doing. And as an example, he saw that we had the beet farmers. The beet farmers were successful. So he would equate the beet farmers with successful. Where we would normally pay the beet farmers $1,000, he'd say, hey, you know what, I want them, period. I can afford them. Even if I lose money, I'm going to get them. He'd offer them $3,000. And though the beet farmers love to come and party at the club, it's like, hey, it's all about money, my friend.
Then, if a band played his club, he'd make a deal with the band saying, you can't play within a fucking 75-mile radius of my club, or I won't fucking book you again. Fuck you. Fuck that guy. Fuck you, I'm not Persian. I'm Polish.
He had said, once I buy you guys out, I will be the only game in town and I can do whatever I want and people will have to play by my rules.
And then Jacek, as being a big money guy he is, owned the building. So then the decline of the Cactus was he'd raise the rent, and then can't afford to pay the rent, so he had to close down.
He bought out our landlords that owned the property. Now, at the time, we were a little behind on rent to our landlords, and he bought that debt from them. The landlords were like, you've been here, you know, 10 years or however long it was at the time, and you're a little behind over 10 years on the rent, not a big deal. Well, when he bought the property, he also bought the debt from them and gave us a 30-day notice to pay or quit. I mean, he actually bought debt to try and force us out of there. That's the kind of person he is.
That's one thing about Jacek. He's going to be a businessman, straight up. If you can't carry your weight, you know, fuck you, go sell donuts or something. I mean, he played apparently, allegedly by the book, and just said that's what the going rate is. If you can't handle it, you know, fuck history and all that. He's not a sentimental person. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense.
Our rent went from like $3,000, which it had been for like forever. All of a sudden, $12,000 is our rent.
I believe it went up, depending on who you ask, either double or triple. I remember Calvin would say it went from 4 Gs to 12,000. This is when Jacek bought the building, I believe, in '99, I believe. And then, but Jacek would say, well, it went from 4,500 to 1,150 and change, or something like that. So it didn't seem as bad, but it did go up because of what was happening locally with the tech sector and driving all the prices up per square foot. So and ultimately, that's what killed the Cactus Club, was that they couldn't afford the rent anymore.
Jacek Rosecki declined to be interviewed for this film.
There's all kinds of rumors. Even my boy I ran into in San Francisco that was from New York. Oh yeah, I heard that the city fucking shut you down and this and that and blah, blah, blah. City didn't shut shit down. I shut it down. It got to be too much. for me, because my partners fucking basically just said, fuck you, we're out. And until it got forced into a position for a sale, which I kind of had to institute, I never ever wanted to see the Cactus Club go away, dude.
With rents quadrupled, stale booking, and further restrictions from the city, the club could no longer sustain itself and closed in June of 2002.
Last night of Cactus, everybody under the sun's here. So. What's the date? Anybody know the date? June 30th, 2002.
Well, the night's still young, 12 o'clock. Me and my baby gonna run, come on, come on, come on, come on, we gonna rock it now. We play tunes, tracks on, me and my baby rock the night on, come on,
That whole period of time was I think, San Jose's the best. It was the heyday for the San Jose music scene. So the Cactus Club was kind of a culmination, and unfortunately for the Cactus Club, they also have the legacy of being kind of the club that people might assume killed the music scene because they closed down.
I don't know. It seemed like there was a lot of unity, and now there's no unity. You know, I think the Cactus Club was kind of like what united everybody because it was like so many different people went there.
The complete scene is gone. It's just gone. 100%, it's done. That whole feeling of community, that whole fucking vibe that San Jose had a fucking soul, dude, and it grew out of the fucking Sofa district. It was something.
It did everything that a rock and roll club should do. It had a great 14-year run, and all good things have to come to an end, I guess.
And San Jose is left with no place for like young rock bands to play.
Right now, kids in San Jose have nowhere to go. There's tens of thousands of kids all over San Jose that want to play in a band, want to go see bands in a legit venue, and they have nowhere to go. And that will continue to be the case forever.
By not having a home for these national touring acts of that size, and by not having a place for locals to put bills together and promote themselves and such, it was a death blow to the live music scene.
That's it.
It's a huge
over.
void.
It's never coming back either. It's done.
Oh, they're never gonna let a club, like that go again down there.
Everyone's a fucking dance club now, or an ultra lounge. And there's no live music. The last live music one is the Blank Club, surprisingly.
The Blank Club's the main place, but it's half the size of the Cactus Club, and you don't have the same vibe because, like, the people that hang out there, we're not
older.
Kids anymore.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
The Blank Club, the Voodoo Lounge does shows. There's all kinds of people still trying to support. People go to the Caravan now. Okay, the Caravan's kind of like the seedy like little fucked up place now. That's a cool joint too, but that's kind of where they'll throw all the little fucked up punk shows and stuff like that. And it's just.
But how does it compare?
It doesn't. It's like going and like seeing your friends play in the corner, and the place is super duper small, but at least they're trying to do something.
Where's a band to play if their normal draw is 400 to 500 people? Where are you going to play? There is no place to play. It was the Cactus Club, and it was that way for years. And there is nothing that has stepped up and taken its spot yet.
I never thought I'd say this, but I miss the Cactus Club. Missing all the girls and all the bands I love. Like you and me, them and she, everything must die. I never thought
Cactus by far gave a home and a voice to hundreds of musicians in the South Bay. On top of that, exposed those same folks and all the music fans to a bunch of great acts touring that would not have ever stopped in San Jose if it wasn't for Cactus Club. I mean, that's thousands and thousands of people that have witnessed those shows, that have toured San Jose from other areas, that have played in other bands that opened in support or headlined the next night, that they've helped. So I mean, their impact on the live music scene was tremendous.
You know, we met bands from all over the place, and everyone played there. You know, no matter, and almost no matter how big or small. You know, Sans, you know, like, you know, Bruce Springsteen or something.
What the Cactus did for the scene was give San Jose some legitimacy as a music town, because they were regularly booking live music and not cover bands and not, you know, they were supporting the scene.
That was a place that my band played. That was a place I'd go, you know, to chill out with my friends. Kind of meant everything, you know, at the time. You know, that club was our music scene.
I think the Cactus Obvious, I mean, outside of the Laundry Works, created the scene.
I mean, you know, you got a town of 1 million people, and there was nowhere for them to go see live music. Kind of funny in a town of this size. So, you know, it filled a huge void that was missing. So it changed it immensely.
Yeah,
It made it.
It was the local music scene.
Yeah.
It would dominate the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, like, whatever was going on at the Cactus Club was the music scene.
It completely changed it by every definition, okay? Whereas, I mean, before you had only small clubs that didn't last only more than 3 or 4 years, and then it was mostly rented halls and people's backyards and stuff, you know, and then that was the first actually totally legitimate club that you would have touring bands come and play all the time, you know, and it changed everything, really.
If anyone were to ask me, you know, it's like, so where have you played? You know, where'd you guys play in San Jose? We played this place called the Cactus Club, and everyone's heard about this place around the country. You know, they're like, oh, we've heard of the Cactus Club, you know.
And the funny thing about the Cactus Club is, like, the thing I think San Jose is missing is every city in the fucking United States has a Cactus Club of some sort. I remember the first time I went to New York City, and it was like, kept telling my friends that were from there, I was like, I want to go see CBGB's. Right. Okay, CBGB's was so built up in my head to be this great place. I mean, I'd seen videos. I knew it was just a shit bar, but it seemed humongous. I went into fucking CBGB's one night, and I walked into the fucking Cactus Club, basically. You know, same shit. Same shit.
The scene will struggle forever now because we don't have something like that, and we'll never get something like that back.
Yeah, but because it was so key. I mean, but
Yeah.
everyone liked to bitch about it a lot. So.
Yep, everybody bitched at the time, but
Yeah,
now
that's
look
how
at
it always is, though.
The Cactus Club was like a home away from home. Cactus Club was like a friend.
I had so much fun at that club. I mean, it was a great club. I had a lot of fun there.
And we thought we were cool, you know, so we'd go there and we'd just be hanging out like, this is our place, you know what I mean? That's how it was.
It was,
you know?
it was like our home.
You know, that was my family, that was my home. That was my life for a long time. I mean, it meant everything to me.
It was family, I think. And that seems like almost a generic answer, but I don't really have a better one.
It was the Cactus Club, man, you know what I mean? It all related somehow.
It was a strange, big, drunken family.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have stories. You guys probably had good times. You know, anybody that's ever went there can probably sit down where I'm sitting right now and give you an hour worth of just great stories from the Cactus Club. And that's one thing that me and Mike, Craig, Steve Bennett, Calvin, Stickman all created. We created this atmosphere for people to go and experience something in life and be able to tell their kids, hey man, there was this great place bands could go play and get their music out.
Fun times, many a great show. Sad to see it go because ultimately there will never ever be anything that fucking cool again in Northern California. A lot of clubs are trying to touch on shit, but dude, you can't fucking duplicate a legacy. You can't duplicate a fucking icon, you know? And the icon was nothing to do with me personally or Mike the Trippets personally or anything like that. It was the community at large that made that what it was. Everybody made it. Everybody was a part of it, and everybody did the damn thing. And if the city would let me build another 18 and over venue, who's to say that it's gonna be cool again? Because it was a whole vibe, dude. It was a whole street. It was a whole thing. Now that thing is gone. The city squashed it. The robber barons squashed it. Politics squashed it. Greed squashed it. But the real motherfuckers like me are still out here in the trenches supporting the bands, fucking going to the shows, trying to get these motherfuckers on the map, whatever the fuck. We're like a dying breed, dude, in a city that doesn't want anything to breed. You know what I mean? So, here's to all my homies, to all my dead homies, including the music scene. Fuck you all.
There was a skylight in the club, and in the 2.5 years I was there, 4 people came through that skylight. And one of them is Lars, who's now in Rancid.
I mean, when Guar played there in '91, some guy tried to sneak in through the roof and fell down and broke his neck.
So it's sold out. Just hundreds of people in this big sweaty box. And you have Guar playing where it's just crazy. There's like 15 people on stage, they're spraying blood, throwing body parts, right? All this controlled chaos inside the room.
And I was wearing a white t-shirt. Calvin at the time was still a bouncer. He was wearing a white t-shirt. And Guar started playing.
You know, all the blood and stuff they shoot comes out with not all of it, but a lot of it comes out with air compressors. So they had the compressors back there and the vats of dye and all that stuff.
Subsequently, there was blood and everything else they used as props. We were just covered in it. It looked like we were just in a massacre.
There wasn't a person in that club that wasn't covered head to toe and stuff. And the fake blood, I mean, it was just everywhere on everybody.
We kicked one guy out, and at the time we had skylights. And he actually went around before the building burned on the corner, through that building and got up on the roof. And I guess he was trying to watch through the skylight or pry it open and get in.
So I'm watching the band, because I don't have to watch the door anymore, so I'm standing there by the door and just watching the band, and then I see someone up on the rafters. And I'm thinking, it's got to be part of the show. What's this dude doing? Then all of a sudden, he falls. And you're thinking, oh my God, he's going to land on people. But there was no one there. Like, it just slapped right to the ground.
Well, everybody saw him, like, kind of hanging and thought it was part of the show and scattered. He hit the ground and stopped breathing.
And then you're kind of like, in disbelief, you're going, did someone just fucking fall from the ceiling? Or did he jump? Or was it part of the show? Then all of a sudden, crowd dispersed, band still playing, band don't even know what's going on. They drag the kid out, right? Blood coming from his ears, coming from his nose.
So we were like picking him up and trying to do half-assed, don't know what you're doing CPR on him. And we hauled him outside, and somebody called 911 and the paramedics showed up.
I go out front to wait for the ambulance. Calvin goes out front to wait for the ambulance. Ambulance people pull up, fire trucks pull up, cops pull up. All they see is me and Calvin standing out there just covered in blood, and they're free.
And everyone is drenched in this fake blood, but to them it looked, and they're like, he just looked around and goes, what the fuck is going on in here, right?
Saw him all covered in fake blood, thought he was hemorrhaging, and they're like ripping his clothes out. We're like, no, he's not hemorrhaging, that's fake stage blood. And they got all kinds of pissed off, like, oh, that's fucking funny, eh? You know, they're getting all irate. We're like, dude, we're not trying to fuck with you, it's a show.
So you had to explain what was going on. And so it was just insane.
God, that had to be one of our greatest shows ever.